For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 2019 Pro Day. And now, this year's Pro Day was a little different from last year's when we had Sam Darnold here. You had owners and GMs showing up. It wasn't quite the same fanfare. But Dan, what were your takeaways from today's Pro Day?
Yeah, I think probably kind of luck of the draw. Ohio State also, I think, going today. And so of the 32 teams, I think 17 are represented today. I think that would be the lowest that I can ever recall. I mean, I remember last year, you're talking to Browns owner Jim Haslam. He's out there, didn't have an umbrella in the rain, and head coaches and that kind of thing. Well, there were a lot of people out there. I mean, I think when they started, I think I counted like 100 people on the track, on the turf there, with cameras and stopwatches and clipboards and all the stuff that you see. So it kind of looked like a little bit of a normal day, but seemed much lower pressure, much easier, much more kind of friendly, familiar a place. And I think that the players even talked about that it was kind of low key.
Mm-hmm. Before the players even came out to Loker Stadium, it seemed like the star of the show had already performed. Jake Olson was benching to raise awareness for the cancer that actually took his eyesight away. He benched 17 times, and he told the media afterwards that when he first started benching 225, he only could bench 3 times, and that was during the Rose Bowl practices during his sophomore year. And he hoped to get 20 today. He got 17, but it was a great time for Jake and inspiration for all.
Yeah, I guess he did 2 right away warming up, but he said, you probably can't count those. He said, some people said, oh, you really did 19, but I think the total right now with the pledged money is something over $45,000 for today. I think the interesting thing is that money is going to go to research for the specific new program and instrument and something that would have maybe saved Jake's sight. And they had a 4-year-old here today with him from New Jersey with his parents who does have the retinoblastoma in both eyes. And this process, the procedure, may be able to save his sight. And I know Jake said, you think about it and think, wow, if that would have been around when I was 12 years old, maybe I could have, saved my eyesight. But he's got an unbelievable future. When you talk to him about all of the things he's got planned, he started a company that does all the kinds of bookings and engagements that he himself has started getting. I guess he's done 350 to 400 speaking engagements. He started off, this is amazing, he started off after his surgery when he was 12. His first speech was to a group of Wells Fargo bankers, and he's a 12-year-old, just lost his eyesight. He said, he's just such a remarkable kid. I think he might be the best news story USC has going for it right now, had going for it the last 4 years, and maybe will be, going forward. And I think he's got so many things to do. He's become Tiger Woods encouraged, has become like a buddy. Sent him a note right away. He's going to play golf with Tiger. He's probably going to go to a lot of pro-ams and celebrity tournaments. His handicap, and he said he hasn't been playing enough lately, is still about a 9 or a 10. He thinks he can get it down to very low single digits, and that's a big part of going to speak and just make appearances and trying to impact people about how what happened to him didn't limit his life. And he got a great message where he says dreams are free, but it's you got to pay for the hustle. The hustle comes extra, and it's up to you to provide that hustle and provide that work. And he said, I'm not anybody special, but I really I wanted to work to accomplish my dream, and he was able to do it. And he's got a message just that he's lived, and then he speaks it so well that you would like to see USC figure out a way to keep Jake around, and however they can do it. He's just too important to the USC story.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's crazy to think that Jake's time here at USC is over already. It's been a long journey. So for USC's sake, you hope that Jake is still around for the years to come. I believe Shelley Smith was here doing a story on Jake that will be on SportsCenter, I think on tonight, this evening. If you're not watching this on Wednesday, it's probably past, but you can check that out on ESPN. But now to the performances on the field. What did you take from, it was Cam Smith, Porter Gustin showing off that he is healthy, he's back. What did you take from everyone's performances?
Well, Cam basically talked about what his goal is and the fact that he's really pleased that he did not leave last year. He said, I was a 250-pound guy. I didn't have my diet squared away. I've got a kind of a new body at 234 pounds. He said, he talks to teams. He said what he tells them is, I can be a middle linebacker, Mike linebacker. I can run your defense. I can call your defense. I can give you a defensive coordinator on the field. I can walk in and start right away and do that. And, it's the mental stuff that I think I bring, to the team. But he was just very strong in saying staying his senior year was absolutely the right thing to do for him. For Porter, he says, they all want to know, are you okay? What's the deal? And he said, I tell him 2 freak injuries, 1 non-football. Said there were bone injuries. It wasn't, structural in terms of, ligaments or tendons or even muscle. And he said he started, he feels like his ankle showed up, that it's, all the way back. He hasn't trained it all the way back, but I was surprised at this. He hadn't done any bending with that ankle until after the combine. So he went to the combine having not really pushed and tested that ankle, and now he has. And so I think he was pretty upbeat about where he's finding himself. But he said, you just never know. I mean, it's one of those things you try to guess where they're going to, who's really interested in you. We didn't get a number of teams that have talked to him. It was interesting that Cam Smith said he's talked to, between the Senior Bowl and the Combine, all 32 teams have interviewed Cam, which has to be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Now going to the DBs, it's interesting. It's kind of a switcheroo. It seems like Marvell Tell will go and play corner at the next level, and it sounds like Iman Marshall will play safety. That's where they're trying to do that. What does that say about USC's plan for those DBs, that's kind of a switch at the next level?
Well, I think part of it was I don't think Iman wanted to leave being a cornerback. Yeah. I think he really, but I think what the teams are saying and seeing and what the scouting reports are telling them is that Marvell has much looser hips, and he's more fluid in his turns and movements. And Iman is, the bigger, more powerful guy, and he's got kind of a little bit tighter hips. So he's the kind of guy you might have at a safety or a nickel coming down on a tight end, for example. He's also a guy you can play in the box and tackle people. He's a really good tackler. Not that Marvell, can't be a really good tackler. At times we saw him, playing down in the box and doing a really good job. But I think, they're looking at Marvell and Iman as maybe making a switch. And Iman said the number one question he gets is about the transition. How would you be handling moving to either slot or corner? And he said, hey, I just want to play. I'm just so excited about, as he says, he is an upbeat guy. And said, just give me a chance to play. And he said, I'm fine with it. I'm not sure he would have always given you that answer at USC, where I think he really wanted to play corner and prove that he could play corner. But now that there is so much thought, and the fact that, they're thinking about, switching Marvell as well, that it's kind of like, well, it's what you do. If, when you go, that next level, they're the ones that make the call.
Mm-hmm. We also got to talk to Chuma Edoga today. I was pretty impressed by Chuma. I think he's matured a bit in his time off in this offseason. He talked about his Senior Bowl, how that raised his stock. He said, when asked about what's the biggest concern that teams have about you, he actually answered pretty honestly. He said that they're worried about his level of consistency, whether or not he has the skills, the tools to be a great offensive lineman, but whether or not he can bring that every single play, every single rep, and that mental strength to do so. So I thought that was interesting. He said it's something that he's working on, but it seems like a more poised Chuma Edoga today.
Yeah, watching him, and it's interesting for us because we haven't seen these guys for a couple of months. Yeah. So you see him and you say, he's got a different look about him. He's carrying himself just a little bit differently. And they are now, this is kind of a professional deal. I mean, this is not, they're not playing for a school now. This is your job, maybe your career, your occupation, the thing that'll take care of you for the rest of your life if you do it right. But he kind of has a different approach about things, and that's probably a really good thing. Because at USC, one of the things that was characteristic at USC was the rest of the offensive linemen were always trying to get Chuma to come along. And what can we do to get Chuma, on board with us? And you don't have that now. It's up to you. I mean, and so he had that look of that he knows it's up to him. And I think he always understood that. It's just now the reality is the reality.
Yeah.
It is up to you.
So looking at these guys, I know we didn't mention some of the other guys, where Ajene Harris also worked out with these guys. What is your prognosis or your prediction going forward? What does it look like for these guys as far as their NFL futures?
I mean, it's a lot of maybes, a lot of kind of, you get the right place with the right coaches, like at Aka Cedric. I mean, you could see an awful lot of ways that he could help somebody. 203 pounds, he catches the ball well, great kid. Thought he ran about a 4.6, he said today. We still haven't gotten, all the exact updated numbers and all that. I think none of the guys had any idea what they ran. They were all like, we hear different numbers and they don't give them, to them. And then there's always a consultation because you got, 30 guys with stopwatches. And some of them want to do it for themselves because they go to all the workouts. And their times, they want them to be consistent with their own times, so they don't necessarily, go with the consensus time. But I thought Aka, ran pretty decently. Ajene, again, not a speed burner, but he ran, smoothly. Marvell Tell did as well. I don't know anymore that that the 40 times, as long as it doesn't fall to a certain place, aren't like absolutely critical. Nobody seems to be totally worried, like the Cam Smith story where he said, or was it Porter? Porter said, "Hey, Cam didn't run." Said he didn't have to because he ran well in the combine. But Porter said, I ran well at the combine, but they said go ahead and run. It won't hurt you, even if you didn't train for it. So it's probably not where it used to be. We seem to always build it up to such a big deal. And I don't think the scouts kind of feel quite that way, as long as it, doesn't drop off the table and disqualify you. I don't think they look at one guy, at a 4.65, and another guy at a 4.62 and say, ooh, that guy, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. So we had to take a quick break there just because we talked to Marvell Tell for the first time. We didn't get to talk to him when we finished the interviews with everyone else. He did tell us that he got sick with the flu over the weekend, so he tried to put that aside and compete today. What did you take away from our mini interview just now with Marvell Tell?
Well, he's also, that cross transition where maybe, Iman's going to safety to corner to safety. Marvell's maybe the other way around, where they're talking to him, and he said basically everybody's talked to, at least 20 of the teams are asking him about the possibility of playing corner. So at 6'2", I always looked bigger than 6'2" to me, and almost 200 pounds. He's kind of that big corner that they're liking now, that can do a lot of different things. So he said he's very open to that. But wouldn't it be interesting if it does turn out that he ends up as a corner and Iman ends up as a safety? It would be like, that's USC. It's par for the course. But I was glad to, that he looked us up, and because we did miss him afterwards, and now that he's kind of sick, we can kind of understand that. But I don't think it was really obvious that he was sick today. But he ran smooth, and I don't know if he did all the drills, but that's great that he came by and said hi.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, is that any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, I just thought, like with Marvell catching up with him, it's a really low-key day. I mean, just kind of friendly, and with the alums coming back, and not a great turnout as far as the teams, 17 to 32. So I think it would just seem very not like a high pressure kind of a situation, and just go out and do your best and see how how it goes and just keep working at it, and whatever happens, happens. And so it's kind of a very like sensible sort of approach to things, and kind of a day that you could sort of put the season behind you, and then just feel good about USC and all the guys coming together. And I kind of like that sense of it.
Mm-hmm. And you had a quick bit about Jake Olson that you wanted to share too.
Oh yeah, I just thought we talked about to a lot of the guys, what's coming out of this for you, or how are you going to make this work, and with all of them talking about having to work and just going to keep working and just see what happens. That was great. Jake had a line that he talked about what he enjoyed about getting into the weight room and really getting after it because of the commitment to raise money for retinoblastoma research, and that he said, I thought this was really great. He said, the weights don't lie to you. He said, you get out of them what you put into them. Doesn't matter if you're blind or you can see, if you're black or white. None of that matters. It's what you do, and the weights will respond to what you do, and you've got control over what you do, how hard you push yourself. And he's just got so many life lessons. But he said the weights won't lie to you. They'll tell you what you put into them. That's what you're going to get back. And that's kind of the message. It was sort of a blue collar message from these guys about just working, going out there, not being flashy or big reputations, but just work hard and see if you can find a spot and find somebody that like you and give you a shot.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up from USC's 2019 Pro Day. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.